Hey, how's everybody doing today? So I wanted to add this document here. This is a document that was sent to me by the clerk of courts from the Court of Common Pleas, and Wendy L. Sowers, I think is her name. This is a copy of the docket for I can't remember the full case number. It's the case number ending in 340. It's cut off there in the top corner. I don't recall it off the top of my head. But if you put in my family name into the Court of Common Pleas online search, you can find this particular docket, the case, and then you can click on the case and find it and look at the actual docket, the same information that's provided online publicly. This was a case from the middle of 2021, this most recent fraudulent activity that happened. And here, this copy, this evidence it shows that, of course, it's not the beginning of the docket. It's the latter portion there. You can see at the top, there's line 9, 7/6/21, July 6, 2021, where I had filed an affidavit of fact. And then a couple other documents there. The nunc pro tunc ab initio pleading, the notice of claim, affidavit of status, both from the Court of Common Pleas that was previously filed, as well as the municipal court that had went unrebutted, to explain to them that I'm not a person, I'm not a corporate fiction, I am the living man, I'm the beneficiary. I'm not 100% sure if the document stated that I'm the beneficiary, but by the way that it was structured, any of these people should have recognized that I am the beneficiary without me saying that specific word. But just for the record, that is who I am. So, with all that being said, there you see line 14 on July 9th, 2021. I had been informed that there may be a hearing or something to do with the court on that day. And so I showed up to find out what was going on, to double check, to confirm whether or not what I heard was true by Melanie. I can't remember her last name in probation. I've got the conversation recorded here on YouTube. So she informed me of there supposedly being a hearing on that day. I showed up, went into the clerk of court's office, filed this notice of appearance, so that way I could address the issue, address the matter, and try to gain some freedom from their extreme oppression, because all they were trying to do was force me to take court-appointed attorneys, and if I didn't dance to their tune, if I didn't comply, they would just throw me back in a cage. So I was doing what I could to stand my ground. And at this point, just to show that I had been there, to have proof, I filed the document with the court, and you can see there, 7/9/2021, notice of appearance filed. You can see prior to that, line 13 is my affidavit of status filed. In between there's no listing of any hearings filed or showing as being scheduled. After the fact, the very next line after the notice of appearance that I had filed, line 15, is when they issued the bench warrant. So you can see right there, this is proof and evidence that they failed to schedule the hearing properly, give public notice of the hearing. I showed up to the court, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They screwed up, didn't schedule the hearing properly. I confirmed that with the clerk of courts, asked the clerk of court if there was any hearing on the docket or schedule for the day. They informed me there was not, so I took my copy of the stamped copy of the document that I had filed, and I left. After that point was when I started getting phone calls from the probation office, Melanie, and the bail bondsman assistant, that I had paid $2,500 cash to get out of the cage, to be free, so I could attempt to get ahead of this a bit and prevent them from completely destroying my life. So both Melanie and Jessica, the two individuals that I had just referred to from probation and from the bail bondsman's assistant, both of them lied to me after July 9th and told me in a recorded conversation, which I have posted, I believe both. If not, I'm pretty sure at least one of the conversations is up here on my on this YouTube channel. They informed me and assured me that there was no warrant issued and that I would not be arrested, and it was just a misunderstanding, and all I had to do was go in and address the court on Monday, and all would be fine. So I went in Monday to do just that, and before I could even step foot into the courtroom, I was in the clerk of court's office filing another document. And before I could even get that document filed, a Muskingum County Sheriff's deputy or imposter, because these people don't know what they're doing, came in and assaulted me, put me in handcuffs, prevented me from leaving, and took me to jail because of this fraudulent warrant for failure to appear of a hearing that was never in existence. So, as you look down further on the docket, you see there line 16, entry filed. The bench warrant was issued on July 9, 2021. So, the recorded conversations that I have of the two individuals, Melanie from probation office and Jessica from the bail bondsman's office, both conspired. They both lied. They committed fraud by lying to me and misleading me into thinking that there was not a warrant issued and that I would not be stopped or arrested or detained whatsoever. That all I had to do was go in and address the court, which I planned to do, and I guess they weren't happy with that. They decided to throw me in a cage. So at that point, I was thrown in a cage for over a month. And let's see, I didn't get out of jail until August. I want to say it was either the 18th or the 19th. And this was after being thrown in a cage for roughly 2 weeks. So for a total of 56 days altogether, they threw me in a cage, threatened my life, had me in inhumane conditions, in areas where there was standing feces and raw sewage. They were making us clean up the raw sewage without any protective equipment, no gloves, no masks, no barely even disinfectant. I wouldn't even call what they were giving us disinfectant. I don't know what the hell it was. But of course, all the guards were using bleach wherever they, went around and did all of their duties. But in the areas where the people were being caged against their will, of course, we weren't allowed to have bleach to disinfect all the raw sewage that was standing on the floors and in the area. So, just be mindful. This is the type of thing that is going on. If you've never been involved with the police or law enforcement, quote unquote, if you've never had to deal with these incompetent public servants, and you have this popular misconception, and maybe it's not so popular these days, but this misconception that police and public servants that have a uniform, like firemen and firewomen and so forth, just because they're public servants and they wear a uniform and have a badge, that they're somehow, because of that, by default they're honorable and some kind of hero. Frankly, none of them are heroes. They do their jobs. They don't need to be put on a pedestal. In fact, most of the situations that they find themselves in that they are called heroes because of are situations that they've created to allow themselves to escalate the use of force into a situation to where they get shot at, or they shoot at somebody and kill somebody because they have a knife or whatever the situation might be, and just trying to defend themselves, and God forbid anybody do that. So we have this totally out of control force. It's a gang. It's an organized gang. It's really no different than the mafia. In fact, in many ways, I think the mafia acted more respectfully because at least they were honest about it. At least they didn't go around putting off a facade that there's some kind of holier than thou individual, that they think that their shit doesn't stink. They act like they can't do no wrong. And even when they do, as you've heard in the conversations that I've recorded in the interactions, these people have no conscience of what they're doing. They are completely disconnected from reality, and they simply just want to assert their authority and dominance over anything that stands in front of them. And again, the prosecutors, and the attorneys in the courts, the court itself, they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. The police, these imposters that are acting as law enforcement, they're the ones that are feeding the courts and these prosecutors all these cases that they're profiting from, that they're creating bonds and penal bonds and all these secondary and tertiary bonds on the backside of the case to be able to sell them on the open market for profit. That's what this is all about. It has nothing to do with right from wrong or justice or whatever the cliche or whatever the misconception is. It has everything to do with profit. That's why when you look up terms like bench, like where the most of the time a dude in a black dress with bozo shoes and pink lipstick, but can be a woman too, where they sit in a courtroom, they call that a bench, when they sit on their high horse. And if you look up the word bench, if you really dig into what that word means and like the synonyms of that word, bench is also known as a bank, like the banks of a river, or a financial bank. So that's essentially what these are. These are bankers acting as public servants in the role of, playing out this farce of the judicial system, putting on these theatrical presentations and everything else that are meaningless, because it doesn't matter. As I witnessed and experienced, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference what the truth is. They've already made up their mind. Whether you go through a trial, whether they go it doesn't make a difference. They've already made up their mind. The only reason they go through the process of the theatrics is to make people think that there's due process, to make them think that they had a chance. And if they lost, well, they just didn't present their case well enough. Well, I hate to tell you, when the witnesses on the stand, like Dispatcher Sheets, Stephanie Sheets, like Kylie Hambrick, and Kim Brown, and what's the other douchebag's name? The law director, I can't remember his name. David Tarbert. These were the four witnesses that took the stand and testified under oath to their own incompetence. These are people that should have known better, that should have known that Ohio Revised Codes apply to them, tell them how to do their jobs. They're obligated and bound by that. And what they were doing is acting outside those bounds. So they admitted that they acted on their own volition. They weren't coaxed. They weren't told that it wasn't their responsibility, or that it was the county's responsibility to address the issue that was being talked about in the cross-examination in the case. With this noise issue, if you're familiar with the background, they admitted that they acted on their own volition and that nobody coaxed them or told them what to say. So they took personal responsibility at that point, and now these people have taken personal responsibility and accepted the liability for the damages. So these are contracts that I will be writing, and I will be forwarding to my my trustee to go through the collections process of collecting. And what they will do is more than likely seize every asset that these individuals have, until they pay the damages. And, you know, I didn't want to have to do this. I have given them more than ample opportunities to do the right thing, to follow the law, to pay attention, but they chose not to. They chose to take it one step further and attack me multiple times, attempt to destroy my life, which, you know, they've had some effect, but, you know, nothing lasting and permanent that I can't make better. It's typical bullying. It's the drag down, having to deal with these people and realize every waking moment that I'm here in the presence of these people and I've got to see them, and I know at any given point in time they can try their bullshit again. So if the courts aren't going to provide remedy for their malfeasance in office and their fraud and so many other things, violations of Title 42 U.S. Code 1983, Title 18 U.S. Code 241 and 242, the list goes on. I mean, there's multiple federal violations, state violations. The constitutions themselves, they have violated in multiple ways. They have no conscience. They have no I can't think of the word. They act with total disregard to people's safety and to the general public. They simply do what they want to do, and that's it. Whatever it takes, whoever is in the way, if they get hurt, oh well, so be it. They don't care because they want their will to be forced upon the people. It shouldn't be this way. This country wasn't founded on that. I don't accept that whatsoever, that some thug is going to come along and force his or her will upon me and think that that's okay. That's not going to happen. Ever. Period. So if any of you people that I mentioned names of are listening to this recording, or any associates of those individuals that I named in this recording, if you're listening, let this be a warning to you. Your actions will create liability for yourself. Whether you think so or not, whether you like it or not. You may be able to hide behind the departments, you may be able to hide behind the municipalities, you may be able to hide behind the courts, but you cannot hide behind contracts, and you cannot hide behind collections. Once you've accepted the contract, it will be enforced. And if that takes, the trustee taking everything from you and seizing all of your assets, well, I think that's a good start to a lesson hopefully being learned, and putting you people in your places and letting you know that it's not okay to do what you've done. It's not okay to act outside the bounds of the law, under the color of law and the assumed authority, simply because you can force people to do what you want because you got a gun, and if people don't comply, you're going to pull that gun out and you're going to point it at them, and you'll use it if you want to. Not if you have to, if you want to. Because you people think you're above the law, and in some ways, the system has kind of made you above the law. But that's going to change. And that's going to change real quick. Because, hey, if you're going to be protected by the courts, well, if you don't have a vehicle to get to work, if you don't have a home to live in, if you don't have a bank account to use, if you don't have any money whatsoever, if every bit of your money is being seized and garnished, well, maybe that'll give you time to think about what you did. And maybe in the future you won't make those same mistakes again. And if you do, hopefully somebody has the balls to stand up to you like I did. And, maybe you'll lose everything again. It's up to you. Like I've said before, I can only lead a horse to water. I can't force it to drink. I can only tell the bigot the truth. I can't force the bigot to think. So just chew on that for a little bit. But I appreciate you all. God bless you all. Keep your head up. And be careful out there. All this nonsense going on and crazy talk and everything else. People are acting ridiculous. So just be careful. Keep your head on a swivel and be safe.